Radio? Call the police. Call my agent. Hi, I'm Danny Bonaducci, and you are watching Gov's Radio. This is where you go if you want to see something or if you want to hear something funny. Coming up in just a couple minutes. This is a joke I told. What? I'm not on Gov Radio? Call the police. Call my agent. Hi.
Tony, welcome to Go.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
I gotta pat you down though, pal.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Got anything on you? Anything I should know?
I got nothing.
Anything weird going on?
What?
Alright, you go in, Tony. Good.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Tom Kelly of The Tom Kelly Show. Yes, this is not the only time I've gotten on my knees in the back room of a comedy club.
The Knockem Dead Comedy Radio Show is also brought to you by Two Eagles Auto Body. For more than 25 years, Two Eagles Auto Body has been the leader in auto body repairs and customer satisfaction on Long Island. Two Eagles Auto Body handles every type of auto repair from custom applications and restorations to repairs involving insurance claims. Give Two Eagles Auto Body a call and please ask for John Rossi at 516-328-2527. That's 516-328-2527.
Hey, how do you say there, people? It's Johnny Brennan, creator of the Jerky Boys, also of Fox TV's Family Guy fame. I just want to let you know you're listening to Tony on the Knockem Dead Radio Show. They're gonna keep knocking them dead, so keep listening, you wacky sons of bitch. Right there. Over and out there, sweet Charlie.
Long time no see, man. Hey, man, I miss you guys, man, at Knockem Dead Comedy Radio.
Hey Tony, you're not funny, and you probably shit yourself a lot. You're no fun to be with. You don't make that much money, and you're not going anywhere in show business. And I hope you get hit by a bus.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Knockem Dead Comedy Show here on Gov's Comedy Club Podcast, the YouTube page, the Facebook page. Thanks for joining us today. Sorry, guys, it's been a crazy week. Normally, I'm live every weekday except Wednesday. It's just been a crazy week, which I'll explain to you on Monday. All right, because we have a guest today, and we're not live. We're recording this. So you're watching this Friday morning. It's Thursday afternoon around 3 o'clock. So it's the day before. But I will be live again on Monday, and and I'll explain all that stuff to you come Monday. Hope you guys have a good Easter. Hope everybody's well. Okay, so joining me today, we're going to have a great show. We have with us right now, let's see. Oh, you just sent me another flyer. Okay. We have Paul VECCHIONE over here.
That's me. Hey.
VECCHIONE, right?
VECCHIONE, that's
VECCHIONE. Paul is a part of an organization called Long Island PrEP, Prevention and Resilience Enrichment Program. Wow, I really screwed that up. You do it. You're better at it.
Long Island Prevention, Resilience Enrichment Program. I think I should probably get that right, though, right?
I think so. However, Paul, we're going to get right into the nitty-gritty of this stuff. All right. How does an organization like PrEP gain any respect when you have Tom Falcone on the board?
It's not easy.
It's not easy
It's
at all.
not an easy thing. You know, Tom's got his quirks. Tom's got it. No, Tom and I've actually known Tom for about 12 years now. I'm married to his cousin, and he really kind of put me into this circle of people who can, get me out there and just talk to good people like you, my friend here.
Whoa.
Tony. So, but no, Tom Falcone's a good guy.
He's a good boy. Tom is, he's a part of Long Island PrEP. He is a big part of a sports organization called Pioneer. That's my connection to him, because I'm just explaining who Tom is to everybody. We use Pioneer. They coach a lot of our PAL. I'm the president of the PAL Special Needs Unit, right. And we use Tom. We use Tom and his organization to coach a lot of our sports programs. I personally use Tom for sexual favors. just let you know.
Well, then I feel real bad for you, Tony.
Yes.
What the hell?
I'm definitely not getting my money's worth. I'm telling you that.
Geez.
I'm telling you that right now.
Well, I didn't expect that, but all right.
You're now like, what the hell did I get into?
Now I got some fodder for Tom. Thank you very much. He's going to love that one.
So, all right. So before we get into what exactly Long Island PrEP is, we're just going to be pushing this event as we're doing the show today, Thursday, May 23rd. Now, normally Governor's is open on Thursday night, so I do have to be a little. I do have to kind of use a little judgment here, but this is a good cause, so we're going to help promote this. It's at Mulcahy's in Wantaw. A night of inspiration. It's the second Mental Health Matters event.
Yeah. Yep.
Dinner, music, cocktails. Jackie Martling will be there. He'll be entertaining, and our pal Greg Kritikos will be there as well, performing. And then see now, this is why Tom does this stuff, because look, he puts himself right
in the middle of the scrum.
Right, his picture is just as big as Greg's and Jackie's, and you got former New York Jets. You got all sorts of.
Ray Cash Care's going to be there. We got the PS I Love You girls. It's it's going to be a great event. We're going to get a lot of people out. Hopefully, we'll have some fun. We'll have some laughs. We'll have some cries. Some of these stories you're going to hear are unbelievable. So,
what is a PS I Love You girl?
Yeah,
so I have bad thoughts in my head.
Yeah, well, basically, they were former students at the high school that I work at.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we'll shy away from the bad thoughts. But no, so Brooke and Jamie De Palma, they're two great young ladies, actually lost their father to suicide.
Oh, goodness.
When they were in middle and high school.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a pretty tragic thing in their lives, but they've turned that into something phenomenal, a program called PS I Love You Day. It's happening all over Long Island. It happens all over New York State, and I think they're trying to go beyond New York, too.
Okay.
But, basically what they're trying to do is just raise awareness for suicide prevention and spread good thoughts, good feelings, spread love. Mm-hmm. I've had the personal, I've had the opportunity to work with them a couple of times. They were on my podcast, and, I know them both pretty well. They are phenomenal young ladies. So.
Now, let me, I'll let you be the judges. I don't know if we should now just get into what Long Island PrEP is, or Like, where do the proceeds to this go?
Yeah, so let's just so I'll tell you about Long Island Prep because then like it'll all make sense.
Sure, that would help.
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned that I'm a school teacher in Suffolk County, and I've been teaching for about 20 years. And I'm sure people are aware of the drug overdose and the mental health crisis going on across Long Island, across New York, and across the country, right? So and it's funny, people will ask me, well, what does it have to do with you? Were you a drug addict? Were you an alcoholic? Luckily not. I can say I'm pretty free of addiction. I am addicted to nicotine. Okay. I started smoking when I was a kid, but I've since quit 15 years now.
Oh, very nice.
But I do understand addiction, but I'm lucky in that I'm not an addict of drugs or alcohol. But being around kids for 20 years, I've seen what drugs and alcohol have done to them or their families, whether it's overdose or suicide or mental health issues, things like that.
Right.
So I kind of took everything that I've observed the last 20 years and put it into Long Island Prep, which is basically we want to raise awareness for these things. We want to teach kids. We have a curriculum, kindergarten through 12th grade. We teach parents and teachers. We have workshops and professional development, and we have a program that's for intervention. So if we notice that there's a kid who's struggling emotionally or is just starting down that road of drugs, we want to get them on the right track. So we have a whole program for that because I've noticed that when and it's true, when you start the process early, when you stop a kid down the wrong path early, they go down the right path or they don't go down the wrong path, right? So prevention. We launched in 2017, officially launched in 2017. So we've just been building the groundwork to get out and to really have our message be heard so we can help kids and parents, things like that. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to raise awareness for mental health and drug abuse prevention on the 23rd.
Right.
Like you said, at Mulcahy's. So the proceeds are going to go to Long Island Prep. They're going to go to other charities. We're going to help out, PS I Love You Day. Hopefully PAL is going to be involved, to some degree. Pioneer Sports. So, of course, Tom has the good.
I know there's been some talk with PAL already. But that's honestly all I know at this point.
There has, and I've actually spoke to
Rich,
to Rich, who's a great guy, by the way.
Yes,
him and I have met several times now, and he's all into Long Island Prep. It looks like we're going to get something worked out between us and Nassau County PAL to get our message out to the parents and the kids of the 31 units out there. So
nice, that's great.
It's going to be a good time.
So, all right, so thank you for explaining that, and I do have a lot of questions based on that. So. So first off, because you were talking about drugs, so obviously prevention, obviously interventions and whatnot, but we're not really just talking about drugs, all right? We're talking about any mental health issue.
Correct. So mental health and substance abuse are brother and sister.
Right.
One is the cause of the other, and vice versa. So the way I kind of developed it, so let's hit them all. Let's focus on mental health because somebody who's healthy, mentally, is less likely to go down the path of using substances. Not everybody, kids experiment and things like that. But in terms of it becoming a problem, it's all kind of related to mental health. So we built the programs around mental wellness and the idea of, giving kids the tools they need to resist drugs, self-esteem, confidence, things like that. And we built them into all of our programs. So it kind of does hit all of it. And it's designed that way because, like I said, one is the cause of the other and vice versa. So.
Now, but how do you, and I don't know if this is, if you have to get some kind of training or if this is just something from 20 years of working in a school, how do you tell the difference between a kid who might be just trying it and might do it maybe once a year for recreation, or how do you recognize that there's a problem?
Yeah, so look, I think we were all kids.
Right, that's exactly why I asked. 'Cause we've seen it.
Right, we've seen it, we've done it. Kids are going to experiment.
Right.
It's when it becomes an issue when the kid isn't coming to school or they're not, if you had a good student, the first half of the year and then the second half of the year, you notice that they're not doing their work anymore, or there's a problem with truancy or being late or being disinterested or listless, so there's signs and that's what we want to do. We want to give people the opportunity to recognize those signs so that if something's going wrong, we can get out ahead of it and stop it from manifesting into real addiction.
So when they get all those symptoms you just listed, listless and losing interest, well, all right, this might sound like a silly question, but it's not. They're not too far gone at that point. I guess nobody ever is, right?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So I didn't want to do so. and there are people who argue with me about this. In my opinion, addiction is very hard to cure. There really is no cure. When you are in the throes of addiction, it is probably one of the most difficult things to overcome. You can ask any addict, any recovering addict.
Sure.
It's a daily, grind. It's and you see how they suffer. It is really a terrible disease. So what I decided to do was get out, do the prevention part so that we never get them down that, it never gets to the point where they're addicted to drugs.
Right.
And, look, everybody's different. People are all humans, and there's obviously different, levels, I guess, or degrees to which you can be an addict, but we're trying to make it so that we don't even reach that point.
Right.
And we give the kids enough awareness, enough education, the adults in their lives enough awareness and enough education so that prevention and intervention can happen before that path goes wrong.
And now, and forgive me if I'm, because this is, I don't know the ins and outs. I'm assuming. How do you find out if a kid is having issues? Again, I don't want to I don't know if I don't want to give too much away if if this is something that you want to talk to just with your clients and whatnot. But.
Sure, no, yeah. So and it's really a matter of, all right, so communication, right? So
right.
when a parent or a teacher or an aunt or uncle, a friend, a coach, somebody's in that kid's life is going to notice that there's something wrong. He's not himself, she's not herself.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. So the best thing you can do is find out what that reason is. And you do that with the best people in their lives who are going to be the closest to them and who they're going to communicate with, figure out what the issue is, and then you help them on the path to, go the right way as opposed to the wrong way. And again, it's not foolproof. It's not something that's going to happen every time with every kid. But when you have people like stakeholders in a child's life who are the most important to him or her, that child has a team around them who care about them the most.
Yeah.
Let's involve them in this process. So that when, there's a hiccup or they fall through the crack, one day or another, we can pick them back up.
Okay.
And when we're all on the same page and we're all looking out and doing that, that's what our intervention, services do. So,
okay.
And it's a really effective way to keep kids on the right track and everybody involved with keeping them on the right track.
Which I'm assuming is key, everybody involved, because then the lines of communication open.
Exactly.
If maybe a kid is having, relationship issues with their parent or authority figure, maybe that helps them kind of.
Yeah, and again, this comes from experience, just knowing what would result in a kid going down the wrong path. It's like, well, maybe there was, a breakup with a girlfriend or boyfriend. Maybe there's a problem with mom or dad. Maybe it's an academic thing. So there are core reasons why kids, go off track a bit. So having the people involved and the people who care about them the most be aware of that, there's less likely that then they could go down the wrong path. So.
And one thing you said earlier really struck me, and maybe I'm hoping I'm taking it wrong, because you said K through 12.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to start that early. I mean, but we're not talking about kids with those.
Right. So all right. So let's think.
Yeah,
back.
the kindergarten part that kind of threw me a little bit.
Well, and that's really to build the foundation, because most kids don't experiment with some kind of illicit drug until 4th, 5th grade, which is pretty,
really even that
which
young.
Is young, yes. But if we're building a foundation, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, and it's not don't do heroin when you're in kindergarten, but it's teaching them how to be how to communicate well with mom and dad, how to recognize a feeling that maybe they don't like, or maybe things they should stay away from in the home, if there's an open medicine bottle, whatever. So we'll take it from the kindergarten level and build upon that, so then when it becomes 4th and 5th grade, they're ready to hear about what they shouldn't do.
Okay.
In terms of tobacco, alcohol, and drugs.
And maybe give them teach them how to keep a steady, a healthy frame of mind, so that they don't fall into stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Keeping somebody well mentally will always, almost always keep them off, doing bad things.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
And this is, and so there's, you have your 3 pillars of action plan.
Mm-hmm.
Now so you have Prep Academy. So is this how? This is how everybody gets. So it's strictly online.
Yeah. So not only online.
Oh, okay.
But the way I designed it, so that it can be done anywhere. It's a portal. So a school district will purchase a subscription. They now have access to the curriculum for the kids and to the intervention program for their crisis intervention teams.
Okay.
And then the Prep Academy is really for adults.
Oh.
It's for teachers who want to do PD, they get CTLA credits, or parents who want to attend workshops to learn about these things. Because really, the biggest partner, your teacher and your parent, are, when you're a kid, are going to be the two people who see, the two groups of people who are going to see you the most.
Absolutely.
They're going to notice when something's off.
Right.
So let's educate them on what they should look out for, and like how to help them. So the Prep Academy is separate from Long Island Prep's programs per se, but it's all.
Oh, this is something. So this isn't the actual program.
It is. Yeah. So the school district can purchase the Prep Academy with Long Island Prep's program. So it's like, it's just a matter of how they want to do it. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. So all of it sounds fantastic. Unfortunately, very much needed. Yeah. And you mentioned when we started about the how prevalent this issue is on the island. Is it? And I mean, living here all my life, I see it. Especially the past maybe 10, 15 years on Channel 12 and whatnot, they target towns like Massapequa, Right. Is the problem as big as they're making it out to be, or is it like this everywhere in the country?
Well, it's definitely like this everywhere in the country. But how about this for a number? 300 people a day are dying from drug overdose.
300 people a day?
In the United States. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, kind of... calculate that out, that's over 100,000 people a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these days, it's more or likely from fentanyl overdose.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is a major problem, obviously. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to raise awareness. I mean, fentanyl the size of a grain of salt can kill a man.
No kidding.
It could be up to 100 times stronger than heroin.
Wow.
And some derivatives of that could be as much as 400 times stronger than heroin.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
that and I know I sound like a nerd or a square. I know that's not the common terminology, but I sound like a nerd in the square. But I don't know. Now that weed is legal, I mean, it's just not the same stuff when we were kids. I personally feel it's addictive now.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because, the THC level in marijuana when, let's say, you were a kid or I was a kid, it's probably, 20 times higher now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the way it's delivered is even more potent. Kids are vaping it.
Right.
Maybe there was a joint or a blunt or a bong, whatever, and now it's in vape pens. So they can disguise it easier.
Mm-hmm.
They can do more of it whenever they want because now they're not smelling like marijuana smoke.
Right.
Right. It's really become problematic. In terms of the legalization, I think there's always going to be a debate about that. Someone will say, well, alcohol's legal. Like, how come we can't have marijuana be legal? Well, because a 17-year-old probably shouldn't be smoking marijuana.
Right. And the 17, and just like drinking, the 17-year-old isn't supposed to be drinking either.
Yeah, exactly. And there's all kinds of research that suggests the cognitive impairment and the brain development of a child. They shouldn't be altering that before the age of 25. So if you have a 13, 14-year-old kid smoking marijuana, it's going to affect them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So. I mean, I could, I mean, I think we all could, but even back then, I can think of a few classmates who I think had permanent effects from doing stuff back then.
Of course.
But even more so now, and it just seems like, to me, I think it's addictive now, and I've even seen a few people they're almost not the same person they were.
Yeah, and here's the problem: drug dealers are putting fentanyl in everything.
Right.
Back in the day, if you got something that, from somebody you didn't know, the chances were probably pretty high that there wasn't something deadly, and now there's more of a chance that there is. And that's how a lot of overdoses happen. People don't know that fentanyl is in the marijuana they bought or any other drug that they bought. So,
and then of course, I think I mentioned it on here a couple weeks ago. I just saw the miniseries, Painkillers with Matthew Broderick. Mm-hmm. And then of course, before that was the other one about the same people. Dopesick, thank you, with Michael Keaton.
Yep.
Amazing, great movies, great performances, but put all that aside, this is a true story.
It's a true story, and it began really in the mid-1990s. Mm-hmm. We can go through it, but for the most part, this idea that drug companies and pharmaceutical companies and the doctors, they were all pushing these things to make money.
Right.
Just like the tobacco companies were pushing Joe Camel, Joe Cool in front of the elementary schools in the early 90s.
Right.
They needed to get people hooked on these things so that they could keep them as a customer.
Right.
And
that's the truth, man.
And it spawned a full-blown crisis. I mean, we're 35 years in the making almost. So,
right.
Or whatever, 30 years in the making.
It's such an amazing story. I mean, extremely sad, and it's a shame, but it's really unbelievable when you look at that and see just how they rolled it out, how many people were affected by it. I'm an amputee, and I had my amputation in 2005, and they gave me oxycodone for when I went home.
150 pills, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was, yeah.
I took it for 2 days.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't even, I can tell you off the air some of the stuff that, I mean, I was hallucinating.
You were given legal heroin.
Yeah.
Legal heroin.
And I, thankfully, after 2 days, I said, I am not doing that.
And you're very lucky.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
After watching those movies, that's when it kind of kicked down. I mean, it's Codone, not OxyContin, but it's still Oxy. It's still it did kind of sink in a little bit, like, holy shit, I dodged a major freaking bullet.
You got lucky. And think about all those people. I mean, kids who went to the dentist were getting, pills and pills and pills.
Right.
Why? Because the dentist was getting kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies who were selling their products. So the whole cycle is just criminal. And
absolutely.
If you watch Dope Sick, which I actually read the book first, and you just see the progression of how it all kind of went down, and you just shaking your head. How can that go down? How can that happen here? You know? Right. So one of the things we push with Long Island Prep is that vigilance. So we can never let that happen again.
Right.
Well, when public health is sacrificed for corporate greed, I think that we've kind of let a whole generation of people be the victims, and I just feel like we're better than that. And
yep.
And
agreed, 100%.
That shouldn't be the case.
100%. And kudos to you for putting something like this together and making it happen, and especially when, at least as far as I know so far, it's really not a personal. Like, you didn't go through it. Usually it takes. Something heavy like that to happen. Right. And usually when it's too late to some degree.
Absolutely. And look, I've had friends growing up who have gone through it, and now they're on the other side of it, thank God.
Yeah.
I've seen, former students go through it and not make it through. There's some family members or friends or, whatever. I've seen the impact up close. I'm lucky in that it hasn't affected, me or my close, circle.
Sure.
But a lot of people can't say that, and it's just tragic.
How is it with so when I was a kid, and I'm going to be 54 next month. You look like you're in your 40s.
44. Yeah.
Okay, 44. So it might be the same when you were a kid. Going to school, sometimes, if it was raining, a teacher might be driving by as I'm walking home from school and, hey, get in, I'll drop you off. In fact, I went to a Met game with an English teacher. I went to another Met game with a science teacher. There were a few of us. It wasn't a one-on-one thing. Not even the slightest sense of something, weird going on. It was just, a teacher who got along with these students. And those days have gone, unfortunately, although I understand why, because there are, many bad things. Does that factor in at all? Like if a teacher sees something but maybe is worried to get that closely involved because of that kind of thing?
So I think there's a forum and there's a time and a place for teachers to be what we're supposed to be. Besides educators, I feel like, we're really, in a good place to be good mentors for kids.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
Mentors. So that's still the case today?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't think kids get in, cars of teachers anymore, again, because of things that have gone on. But there are ample opportunities throughout a school day, to help a child. And just being a part of their circle and helping them.
Okay.
Again, so I teach English, but I think my biggest value to my students is the relationships I have with them in the classroom, to establish trust and let them know that if there's something wrong, something going on, they can talk to me about it, and I'll get them help, things like that. But you're right. The old days of teachers driving around kids, they're gone. Yeah.
Right, and my kids, I have two kids, and they're out of high school. They're my kids are in their 20s, so I'm completely. Yeah. I'm out of the loop my whole life anyway, but just especially now. So it always appeared to me that the mentors that my generation had and before. it just seemed like that wasn't there anymore. But I'm happy to be wrong about that.
Well, no, right, and inside the school environment, but then you have coaches who can help kids on the basketball court or the baseball field or whatever. So there's a lot of opportunities for teachers to still have a very positive impact on the lives of their students, and it's one of the joys of my life, to help kids any way I can.
Oh, sure, absolutely, and again, that's just a fantastic thing you're doing.
Thank you.
And again, we're not just talking about drugs. We're just talking about any mental issues.
Sure. Yeah. Because again, they're related.
Right.
Right. But let's get kids healthy emotionally and mentally, and then we'll see the drug overdose problem in this country drop.
And I don't want to skim over it because I want to make sure I heard this right before. So parents and teachers can get involved, not necessarily because there's one student they want to focus on. They want to get involved just like for future. They know what to look for, and they want to get involved and help.
Correct. Yeah. So that's
great.
because our whole thing is knowledge, power, education. When you know something, when you're aware of it, your antennas are up.
Right.
And you can stop a real problem from happening when you get ahead of it, right? So let's educate as many people as we can. Let's educate the parents,
right?
Excuse me, the educators, the kids, of course, but everybody involved in a child's life, the whole community. It takes a village, it takes a community, it takes everybody, involved with that child to raise them right. Yeah. Obviously, it starts with family. And we teach a lot of that stuff with our programs being connected to your child parent involvement, things like that. The most important thing a parent can do is be intricately involved in a child's life as much as they possibly can. And the best place to do it is at the dinner table or the breakfast table. Spend time with your kids,
right.
Have a meal with them, and just talk to them.
Yep.
Get involved in their lives, because that's going to be their foundation to what they're going to do from then on.
Which is much easier said than done. Yeah. Unfortunately, and again, showing my age, it is unfortunate because you have, both parents are working now, right. And they have different schedules, and that's one thing I noticed when my kids were in school. I mean, they were going in early. They were all, and after school programs are great, but these kids are coming home on the bus. Well, I take that back. They'll be a little energetic and talkative, but in the mornings, going to school, you just see these zombies on the bus. It just seems like there's, between the parents and the kids, it just seems like there's too much going on. I mean, that's probably a whole separate discussion.
It absolutely is, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that feeds into all of this.
Right.
You're absolutely right. My mom was a stay-at-home mom before she went to work. We were all out of the house.
Right.
We were all out of the house when she went back to work. So her being home every day was a huge difference.
Absolutely.
While my dad worked, all day. So
right.
But you're right. That is a whole different discussion. But,
oh yeah, true. All right. So again, we're pushing Thursday, May 23rd. A night of inspiration, second annual Mental Health Matters Night from Long Island Prep. And featuring lots of great people here. Ray Cashcare. Now, Paul Fraze, is that his name?
Paul Fraze, yeah.
I former New York Jet. I'm not familiar with him.
So let's go back to the early 1990s.
Okay.
He played with Kenny O'Brien.
Okay. All right.
And he's got some story.
Really?
Tony, he's got some story. His son was born with myotubular myopathy, which is a very rare congenital muscle disease.
Yeah.
That when they're diagnosed, they're not expected to live to the age of 2.
Okay.
Paul's son lived till he was almost 16, and Paul and his wife went 16 years doing everything they could to raise awareness and raise money, and they created the Joshua Fraze Foundation. I'll gladly plug that because it's a phenomenal foundation helping kids with this disorder. And they got this disorder on the map when his son Joshua was diagnosed with it in 1995. There was 1 or 2 scientific journals about it. People just didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Obviously his son had passed, but by the year 2017, they had raised so much money and awareness for it that treatment is now possible. They have it in human clinical trials to figure out ways to treat it. So, and he is, I've had many a conversation with Paul Fraze. He is a phenomenal human being. Inspiring is not even close to the word.
Wow.
He's that amazing. So he's going to come speak with us. We already talked about the P.S. I Love You girls.
Yes.
Just totally amazing. So, anyway.
You got Tom Falcone, you got Greg Kritikos, and Jackie the Joke Man Martling. This flyer is killing me because Tom is. What is Tom going to do? You got this guy talking about his kid. You got Jackie and Greg who are going to entertain. Right. You got these girls that you're talking about. What is Tom going to do?
And really, Ray Kashkar is another one. I just have to mention him because he was a former Navy SEAL. He's now a motivational speaker. He inspired the movie Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks. He went to the boat where the Somali pirates had them, and he rescued that entire squad.
Oh, no kidding.
Ray Kashkar is another so I just have to plug him too because amazing person. He's going to be there speaking. So
let me before we make fun of Tom because because I'm afraid once we start doing that we're not going to come back in. Right? How does a guy like Ray Kashkar how does so he's just promoting the good things you can do if you stay off drugs? How do you tie it all in?
I think Ray has a story to tell.
Okay.
That involves all of what we're talking about. I don't want to reveal too much, but Ray has some story to tell.
Okay.
From where he started to where he is now. A tremendous, progression of life, and the trials and tribulations of his life will knock your socks off too.
So do you get? Normally, you get people that have had some kind of adversity in their lives, and then you kind of
I think we all look. Humans are social animals, and if I'm going to learn from Tony Walker, I want to hear you speak. And
you only need 5 minutes. There's nothing of substance here.
How much can you learn from me right now? No. But everybody has a story to tell.
Right.
Everybody comes from something, and if we could talk to each other about it and learn and make the world better, make ourselves better, make the people around us better, let's go. Let's do that every single day.
I hear you, pal.
Help each other.
I was in the hospital a few years ago I had a kidney stone, right? And I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure.
I have not.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it was awful. But it happened on a Friday night. So, and however they figured it out, they ran the test and they said this thing is so small you probably won't even feel it pass, right? So I'm in the hospital. I mean, it started early Friday, but by the time I went to the hospital, by the time they saw me and whatnot, it was Friday night. And I think maybe within 3 hours of being in the hospital, it must have passed because I didn't feel any more pain. Mm-hmm. And I guess because it's a Friday night and I'm not in pain anymore, so I'm not at high priority. I was in there all weekend. Right. I was in there all weekend. I'm just sitting there. I'm hanging out, making fun of nurses. My friends are bringing me ice cream. I'm just hanging out.
Right.
So, but the old cliche, everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. Right across the hall from me, in a room, was a gentleman who was having a bunch of diabetes issues, was told Friday night that Saturday morning they were taking his leg. Right. So sure enough, the nurse comes in to me, and she's like, can you go talk to the guy? She goes, you obviously, whatever. She didn't know what happened to me, but obviously it's pretty noticeable. Right. If you're not wearing long pants, it's pretty noticeable that there's no leg. So she said, would you mind talking to him? I sat with this man for a few hours and talked to him. I met with his family the next day. I, of course, went to see him, after the surgery. It's I'll admit flat out that there's a little selfishness involved. Like you get a satisfaction from talking to people. Yeah. I had a friend that used to teach over at Hofstra. She said, will you come talk to the students one day? And I didn't. And again, I get around very well. I mean, I have some issues, but nothing that's really ever obvious to the naked eye. But so I walk well. My life is, I always tell people it's probably 75 to 85% of what it was before my amputation. So I'm lucky. So I went to Hofstra and I did a little speech, and I was standing in front of class, so they had no clue. And then I this is what I always do. And I do it in my stand-up back too. I just threw it around and I shocked the shit out of people.
No shit.
And then so I did that about.
I honestly had no idea. I'm going to tell you the truth.
Oh, I get people with that all the time, and it never gets old, by the way.
Right.
So the whole the students.
Right. What the hell?
But it worked out because here I'm trying to explain to you, it's okay. it could be a hell of a lot worse. Right. So much worse.
And they're learning from your firsthand experience. Like you said, there's actually Harvard studies that suggest a random act of kindness does better for the person who's being kind than for the person they're being kind to.
Absolutely.
And I totally believe that.
Yeah.
The oxytocin or the dopamine that's released, whatever it is that goes on in our brains.
And just the whole positive atmosphere of it all. Yeah. And I've said it a million times on here whenever it comes up. I lost my leg to cancer. Mm-hmm. And I firmly believe that a positive attitude and joking around and laughing was just as important as the medication.
Sure.
I mean, of course, you're not going to lie about it. I had plenty of moments where I was like, you know what? I've had enough. Take me now. Right. Or, the why me moments. Right. And I put my wife through hell some of the time. Mm-hmm. But there were also plenty of times where we were able to sit and laugh, and especially working around here, these guys have some of the best lines making fun of me with this, but that's needed, and I love it.
And you're a good sport about it, right? It's
you have to be.
You have to be, because if not, what are you going to have?
Exactly.
Pity party your whole life. No,
I didn't want to be that guy,
right?
Awesome. And even I remember even before the amputation when I first got sick, I remember once it was out there, anytime you went somewhere. Even some of your closest friends as soon as they see you enter the room, their whole face changes, right. Their whole body language changes, right. And you just see it, and it says, oh, here comes the dead guy, or here comes cancer guy. Like I didn't want to be that guy. Don't feel sorry for me.
Right.
Can't we just bust each other's balls like we used to do? Right. So it was a conscious decision to work past that.
Sure.
And the positive attitude, the making fun of each other, the laughing. I don't think I would have survived it with just medication alone.
And you needed that interaction with other humans to get you through that, right?
Yes. And having said that,
the whole thing.
I didn't want their sympathy, but I also didn't want the. So everything okay?
Can I help? Can I do this? Can I do that?
Well,
right?
no, that I wanted,
right?
But the way it was skirted around, no, just ask me. Right. Hey, what's the latest? Right. Hey, are you in pain?
Right.
Let's talk. You're supposedly a close person in my world.
Sure.
Just ask me. Yeah. So you feeling good? Everything all right? Right. No, just tell me.
Right.
And I'll tell you exactly what's going on.
Sure.
And then we get through it. And then, all right, what's new with you now? And just to have a normal.
We're through me now. Right now, you can kind of move that, and that's important.
Because and that's what it is. Normal, just the normal. Whatever your normal is, that's the goal. Just to get back to that.
Right.
And it's and it can be and to tie this in with you, you can watch movies about people who are sick, and you see, I went through this and they went through that and they went to the hospital and they had to, and then they go into rehab and you see them, working out in the gym and sweating, but they never really tell you about the mental aspect of it all, just what it means or what it's like to go through this type of shit.
And that's why it's important to get the people who've been through these things out talking to people,
right.
And just to go back to the Night of Inspiration, a Paul Frees, a Ray Kashkar, a Brooke and Jamie De Palma, they've been through really trying things in their lives, and they've come across that bridge. They're on the other side, and what do they want to do? They want to help people. Right. They want to help people who've been through stuff to get through it.
Right.
So, to us, it was a no-brainer to put them on that flyer and say, come on out, because it's going to be a tremendous, tremendous event.
And even Jackie, he's sober.
Right.
He drank for a long time. He did his partying, and then it might be, some people might find it hard to relate, but even what he went through career-wise.
Right.
He was on top of the world for a long time, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And, financially, was it his life changed? And I'm sure even mentally your life changes when you're on top of the world like that, and you can get into any place. You have cameras around you all the time. Some of the biggest names in the world are around you, and now, so I'm sure that
Of course, and how about a testament to Jackie though, because he quit drinking before. So I mean, if I have my story correct, right after he wasn't on the Stern show and he was getting a divorce, or he had quit drinking around that time.
All of that, Stern, the divorce, and the drinking, I believe, was all just within a few months, the same year.
And to come out of that and still be able to, it's just, hats off to him for that. I mean,
absolutely,
that's impressive. But Jackie always tells me, listen, I don't want to, he's like, I'm a comedian. I'm not going to go on stage and talk about things. He goes, I'll answer questions. I'll make jokes about certain things, but I'm there to make people laugh.
Right.
And I just know that's going to be the case. Jackie's a freaking pisser, man.
Oh, nobody tells the jokes like him. Nobody.
The joke, the laugh afterwards, the way he pulls you into it and you laugh with him.
Yep.
I mean, just a genius. So, we're really excited to have
Jackie. I do think this event is perfect for him.
It's going to be
I
awesome.
believe that the people there are perfect for him. I believe he's perfect for them. I think it's just going to be a great night.
Awesome.
The perfect guy for it. He's going to have that place rocking. Right. Now, I know you were just kind of just talking, but in all seriousness, is there a chance of him doing like a Q&A or anything? Because he doesn't address, in my opinion, those parts of his life enough, and I'd be curious to hear it.
And there's more to that story too. And again, it's not my place to say what Jackie's been through in his life. I don't know Jackie very well, but he's alluded to some things. I think Jackie, and he said it. I'll come there. I'll put my show on. People are gonna laugh. And then, in the green room or upstairs in the VIP room, I have no problem talking to anybody about anything. And
he is very open.
That was awesome. It's just so awesome of him,
Yeah.
So,
And now, all right, that's going to be great in itself. But to my pleasant surprise, after you sent flyers out and put the night together, to my surprise, then I saw Kritikos on the bill too.
Yeah.
So I was, Greg. Now, I know Greg fairly well. Yeah. And the more I get to know him, the less I like him.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. And that'll happen to you eventually in time, yeah.
Looking forward to that, Tony.
No. So how'd you get Greg?
Before you said everything happens for a reason. All right. So last fall, I'm with an organization that we do a lot of events in the community for. We're in Astoria, Queens, on a Sunday afternoon.
That's it.
It's an early November day. It's warm out. We're at, I forget the name of the place, but it was like a gym. And we're in there. We're packing up, going home. And who walks into the door? With Greg. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. And I always say Kritikos. It's not.
Kritikos.
Kritikos. Okay. That Greek thing, I guess. But, so Kritikos walks in and, like a gentleman, puts his hand out and just starts talking. What is this? What are you guys doing here? Well, we're doing mental health awareness, substance abuse prevention, blah, blah, blah. Well, I have quite a story, my friend. And he just went into who he is, what he does. He's a recovering alcoholic.
2 days later, you got to leave?
Yeah, that's right.
Let me tell you who I am. Hey, what are you guys doing here?
And that's exactly right. And I tell you, at first glance, I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Talking to him for 5 minutes, I liked him immediately.
Yeah.
You could tell he's genuine. He wants to help people, and he's funny as hell.
Oh, yeah.
He made me laugh the first minute I spoke to him. So, long story short, I was kind of thinking about how when we're putting this event together, how can we work together? Because right after that, we got each other's numbers, and he's hitting me up with, check this out, look at that. And, he's being a businessman, of course.
Yeah,
he wants to get his brand out there, but you know what?
Right.
It didn't take much selling. It really didn't, because I was watching the things he does, and what a great guy and what a funny guy. So it's like, come on and do this. Be the host. We can use more of that.
Oh, so he's hosting it.
He's hosting it. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
It. So he's gonna, he sprinkle his jokes in there. But I mean, he's a phenomenal human being. We can't wait to have him.
And fortunately, Mulcahy's is literally right across the street from the Wanto train station.
Right.
Because Greg is a pain in the ass because he doesn't drive. Right. So anything on the island, he has to take a train, and he never knows where he's going. So you will be yelling at him that night.
Right.
Even though the train station's right there, he probably will ask you like 5 times where he's going. Right. But he's and so did you meet George too?
I don't know.
No, all right. I guess that's a no. Okay, George is just his guy that that travels with him everywhere and just kind of helps.
Okay, no,
put things together for him.
That day he was by himself.
Oh, really?
But he showed me his pin. He showed me everything from and everything he does, and him and I clicked immediately.
Yeah,
it's just great.
That's cool. That's funny. He's a good guy, Greg. And he's very funny. Great sense of humor. I mean, talk about someone you can bust balls with.
Right. Love it. Love it.
And yeah, as soon as you said a story, then I knew, because that guy lives and breathes a
and
story.
he literally just walked in. Well, what's going on here? And tell me about you. And then we started talking. He's like, well, I got to tell you about me. And then he started telling his story, and his story's, remarkable too.
Right.
So.
And another guy who had his demons,
his problems. Yep. Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into this. So what is Tom's role in this whole thing?
All right, couple of things. I had mentioned before that Tom and I have some family connection, but Tom also introduced me to a tremendous human being, Steve Costello. Steve Costello is really, he laid the groundwork for all this. I mean, he's helped me tremendously.
Oh, no kidding.
I met Steve last summer.
Okay.
We're 10 months.
So did I.
Did you?
Yeah, last summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's helped me in every way to get this out there. Meeting people, talking to people, doing this, doing that. He is like business development supreme.
Wow.
Aside from that, he's a great guy and a good friend. So I'm really thrilled to have Steve be a part of this. So Steve also helps Tom.
Right.
And Steve's involved with a lot of people. Can get, all right.
Oh, yeah.
So Tom introduced me to Steve. And we were kind of thinking about, all right, so we're going to put this night of inspiration together. You don't have to look too far, though, to see how Tom contributes, because Tom has his Pioneer Sports.
Right.
And, you and I were talking about before the way it used to be. We were kids. We were on our bikes. We were outside. We were shooting basketball hoops. We were playing manhunt all night.
Right.
You know what kids doing now? They're on their cell phones.
Yep.
They're on their iPads. They're on these video games. Pioneer Sports gets kids off the screen and outside, playing with other kids. Athletics or, what. So camps, clinics, all these things that are going to get kids together to connect and interact and socialize in person. It's gold.
Yeah,
That's
you're absolutely
gold.
right about all that.
So Pioneer Sports and Tom Falcone, that community piece is critical to what we're trying to do with kids. So it's like, well, what's Tom doing there? Well, he's a huge role.
But at an event like this, like he's not getting up. Like, is he getting up to talk or anything? That's great with Pioneers. And in all seriousness, yes, check out Pioneer Sports. Yeah, it's not like you have to. It's not everybody makes the team, right? And it's just getting the kids out, playing sports, teamwork. I personally have seen those guys in action. Like I said, they handle the sports with the PAL Special Needs Unit and a lot of other PALs they work for as well. They do a tremendous job, tremendous job. But so but at an event like that, like, does anybody want to hear Tom speak? I don't. Just play sports.
Right. Well, play sports, but tell us why. No, he's again. He and I have to be kind of careful here, right? Because Tom has a lot to bring to something of this importance.
Okay.
Again, because of his involvement with communities, because of his involvement with kids and what he's helping them do, we're trying to get people aware that maybe what's going on today needs to go back to the way it was. Not going backward, but bringing us back into that situation where kids are outside again.
Yeah.
And Pioneer Sports does that. Tom's a huge leader in that organization. Obviously, he owns it, but also in his community. And I don't know about you, but I've seen the clinics. We were with Mookie Wilson last year.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah. I was there that day.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So
in fact, right there, there's my magnet.
That's right. So I think he was here, right?
He wasn't here, but Tom and Steve, they let me come to Steve's office to sit with Mookie, and we filmed an interview.
Gotcha.
One of the biggest days of my life, meeting Mookie Wilson.
What a gentleman.
Yeah.
What a gentleman.
What
I mean,
a
he
nice
helped
man.
my two kids. So that whole thing, I mean, there's, my kids are 8 and 9 years old. They're learning how to swing a bat from Mookie Wilson. Mm-hmm. I mean, my kids will never forget that day.
Right.
They'll never forget that day. And who facilitated it? Tom.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff.
So you're keeping Tom around because he has access to people like Mookie Wilson. That's basically what you're telling me right now.
Oh, Tony, you're really baiting me here. Come on, dude.
Tom expects nothing less, just so you know.
I don't want to hammer Tom, though. Come on, no. No. So Tom has a lot of
sorry.
That's okay. It's all right. We'll leave Tom alone.
Well, all right. I'll leave him alone in a second. Before we move on, there's got to be just one embarrassing story about Tom that you can tell me.
Oh, boy.
Come on, he's family. There's got to be something.
Can I please plead the fifth?
Yes, of course you can.
All
of course you can.
I have one in mind. I'll tell you off the air. How's that?
That's perfect. That's good. That's good. So this now, all right. So the Mission Z podcast. Now, is that all a part of this?
It is.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Sure. So it's let's get you on. If you are involved with kids, if you're involved with your community, tell us what you do. Tell us how you improve the lives of people. We want to hear all about it, hear your story, and then we want to help people know who you are.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a matter of building a community.
What is the title all about?
So Mission Z, so Generation Z.
Okay.
Is what I think our kids today are considered Generation Z.
Right.
So Mission Z is to bring people who are going to help kids on our podcast and bring kids to a better place. We want to hear all about it. We want to work with you. We want to help you. We want you to help us to get the same message and the same mission across, which is to help this generation get over this hump that they're faced with. I know every generation has had,
absolutely,
things to overcome, but now I have kids, and I'm a teacher, and now all my siblings have kids, and it's really, we're the gatekeepers of their future. We're going to hand the keys over to them someday, and it's up to us to make it a better place for them. So that's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely, and that's at WGBB.
No, it's funny that you said I have to call him back. Actually, he's been trying to get me on, to have our show on there. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, all right. The reason I brought that up, I was recently over there. I was a guest on one of the shows, and there's a poster on the wall with a bunch of your pictures there.
I know, because him and I got to almost there.
Okay.
And we were going to, and then really, Long Island Prep, the Mission Z podcast, has really gone through a lot of changes, really in the last year, which is when I started. I forget his name. From GBB. Okay, I'm not even sure. I think there's a few different guys. Yeah, but I've been talking to him, and I'm definitely looking forward to working with them. We just got to get to a place where we can.
Sorry, I'm really putting you on the spot today.
No, that's okay. No worries. No,
I saw the pictures, so I figured, that's where he does.
Can we get back to making fun of Tom?
Well, where can they hear the podcast now?
Yeah, so it's on Spotify. It's on. I believe it's on YouTube. It's on Amazon. It's on Apple. So yeah, it's not live. It's recorded.
Right.
But it's all, so they can go to missionzpodcast.com or my YouTube channel, Long Island Prep.
Oh, okay, cool. And what other events have you guys done? Like, I'm assuming you've worked with some other notable people.
So really, this is the first. First splash.
Okay.
I've done a ton of events in communities. I do PTA events, and we do a lot of mental health fairs. We work with school districts for professional development with their teachers. But this is the second annual Mental Health Matters event.
Okay.
Last year we did one in Babylon Village where we just kind of got some booths together. So we got WBAB was there. We got a bunch. So it's like this year, let's make it a big splash, and that came directly from Steve Costello's help.
Yes.
And Tom Falcone. Those two propelled all of this. So if I could just give them a quick plug.
Oh, absolutely.
They were just instrumental in all of this. So.
Super guys. I mean, allowing me to come to the office and meet Mookie and then took over his office for an hour so we can record. Literally in his office. He couldn't come into his office for an hour. He stood in the hallway of his own office building.
And he was probably absolutely okay with that.
Totally okay with it.
That's how he is. Yeah.
And I think I knew the guy for 2 months at that point.
Right.
And he got nothing for it. He didn't ask for money. No, I think I brought donuts that morning.
Right.
That was it.
And that was enough for Steve. That's who Steve is. Absolutely, just a tremendous guy. And
without a doubt.
And he helps me. He helps Tom. And Tom was my connection to Steve. So that's how we kind of got to where we are now.
And then he just got married. His wife is kind of hot.
Yeah. Well, he's down in Florida. He sends me pictures all the time. She loves dogs, and Lori's a sweetheart. I speak to her on the phone. He puts me on the phone with her. He's like, all right, so tell Lori what we're doing about this, about that. It's funny. Steve and I, we became fast friends. We really did. And it's we talk 3 or 4 times a day. So,
wow.
Yeah. So
very nice.
I plug Steve, so thanks.
So this whole... and again, Steve Costello, and he has a book. What's the name of his book?
My Father Never Took Me to a Baseball Game. I finished that book in 4 days. Couldn't put it down. I mean, it's a short read, but between kids and jobs and owning businesses.
Sure.
But what a book! I don't know if you've read it.
No.
I highly recommend it.
Really?
If we can plug that too, it is.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. Yeah.
Wow. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna cry. It's just, and it's told so well. He, anecdotes and like, his grandmother with the bleach and his father who he was, and he made him rake leaves, and it's a great book. It's very fast, 140 pages. It's well worth it.
All right, So go, and I'm assuming that's available everywhere.
Yep.
Go check it out.
Amazon.
Yep. Pioneer Sports on Long Island here. Go check them out. This whole organization, this whole company, however you refer to it. I mean, it must be super stressful, super draining, but it's got to be, just as rewarding at the same time, right?
So I think I have 4 full-time jobs between my teaching job, my Long Island Prep, the podcast, Mission Z podcast, and I have 3 kids. I have 3 young boys.
You're a busy man.
I am, but I'll tell you what, I love all of it.
Right, and that's the key.
All of it.
Yep.
I'm shot at night. I'm asleep by 9 o'clock during the week. But you're right. The stress and the angst of all of that, seeing what it's doing for people, how it's helping people, and getting people involved. I mean, this night of inspiration, people are going to come out and they're going to hear these stories and they're going to say, you know what, whatever hell I'm going through, these people got through theirs, I can get through mine. And what's better than that?
Right.
What's better than that, really? So.
And to tie it in with today, we're recording this Thursday night. The big news around here is this poor cop who was killed. He's from Massapequa. The whole South Shore is crazy. Donald Trump attended the wake this afternoon, so I've heard nothing about except just how crazy it's been down there. Mm-hmm. The cop that runs our PAL unit, he lives in Massapequa, and I was talking to him earlier, and he said, "Oh yeah," he goes, "The school was closed today." Yeah. He said it's just people there's tons of people on the streets, but they're all for that.
Right.
It's really, and I don't know if you saw, but I saw this video yesterday. I don't know who put it together, but it's film of them taking the coffin out of the hospital in the city, driving, to get to Massapequa. On every bridge there were, firemen and policemen, and sides of the road, people saluting, and then they're showing taking the coffin into the funeral home. I mean, I was like this close to crying like a baby.
31 years old.
Right, with a child that's less than a year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Is a kid that falls into that category is that something you guys would reach out to help see if they need anything, or is it feeling the absence later on and then maybe you need it?
Yeah. So and unfortunately, there's that story.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. And that child has a really difficult road ahead. We hope that there's support around that child his whole life, because he's going to need it.
Right. Absolutely.
His widow's going to need it.
Yep.
So while we're available for anybody at any point in time,
right, okay.
It's better off that let them reach out and see if they need it.
And I'll tell you firsthand. First off, and I don't care what, we're not getting into politics, but I don't care what side you're on. Donald Trump has taken, and that's not just a Facebook, because I first heard this on Facebook and I couldn't find it on the news anywhere. Mm-hmm. I did think it was an urban legend at first, but then earlier today I finally did see it on the news. Donald Trump has paid off the mortgage for that family, so that's fantastic. Yeah. So again, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, that's a great thing to do, and that's great for the family, and I'm happy for the mother. She won't have that financial burden. Mm-hmm. However, I'm sure they'll give every penny back to bring him back. Right. And for this poor kid, he's not going to realize, the greatness of that until, for probably 15, 20 years at the earliest. Mm-hmm. This kid needs his father.
Right.
And my father, that's why I say I can relate to this. My father split when my mother was pregnant with me. Met him when I was 5. The only time I ever met him, and then he died when I was 10. Now, not necessarily, well, I take that back. Things like Little League, the local, I grew up in Hicksville, Hicksville Baseball Association, playing baseball, being involved in Cub Scouts. Like, I had a lot of people that filled that void. Thank goodness, right. And so that's why I think I respect, an organization like this. That's why I'm thrilled that somebody like Donald Trump paid that mortgage, because it's so needed, and hopefully this child, hopefully between the police organizations, between the family, organizations like yours, this kid will have the voids will be filled. Yeah. I would not change a thing with my childhood, even though Dad wasn't there.
Right.
I don't even call him Dad. I don't even know why I said that. but he wasn't there. But I had friends, I had family, people stepped up, and
You had a village.
Absolutely.
You had a
right.
village, you know.
That's what I was trying to make the same point you are. It just took me an hour to get there.
No, but that's okay. But it's so true.
Right.
It's so true. And the more human connection, like Darren
Yes.
Prince, who's a big time agent out in LA. He was on the Mission Z podcast a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about his story. I don't know if you know who that is, but he.
I know the name. I can't place it. I've heard.
So
it.
I mean, basically, he's Magic Johnson's agent.
Okay.
He's Hulk Hogan's agent. Big time agent. Struggled with opioid addiction for 25 years.
Wow.
While he was rising to the top, creating his own business for agents, sports agencies, and things like that. And we were kind of going through how he got through it, because now he's clean and sober since 2008.
Nice.
And one of the things he said was the opposite of addiction is connection.
Oh wow!
So
yeah.
and just that stuck with me, having that thought that the more you're connected to your fellow, classmate, friend,
Right.
family member,
Right.
the better off you're going to be. So for somebody who didn't have a dad to have those connections with everybody else, incredibly lucky.
Right.
And I'm
Oh,
really,
absolutely.
thank God, because
Yes, absolutely
you
right.
could have easily gone different directions,
Right. And then I saw also with speaking of your podcast, you had Doc Gooden.
I did. That was another Steve Costello and Tom Falcone connection, and Doc was tremendous.
Really?
If you watch it, I'm probably a little jumpy. It's the first time I've ever spoken to a real major leaguer,
Yeah.
and there he is on my podcast. Treated me like I was his equal. Had some story to tell as well.
He's very open about his struggles, right?
And
Yeah.
he struggled with addiction from the time he was a kid. 17, 18, 19 years old.
Right.
So 2019.
Right.
You're talking about a guy who was at the top of the world who was addicted to drugs until
Right.
5 years ago,
Right.
and to come on the other side. And what's Doc's mission now? He wants to help other people. He wants to get people through it,
Right. And perfect examples. I mean, fine, it was years and years, but he still came out the other side. And Strawberry, too.
Right.
I mean, Strawberry now, he's now a preacher, and he goes around all over the country. And, I mean, this guy, well, both of them, but, I mean, what messes their lives were. Yeah. And the see, all right, you know what? So you watch a lot of sports people, well, if only they did this and they could have done. Who cares what they could have done? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. These guys came out the other side, and they're healthy, and they're happy, and they're okay. Right. That's the bottom line, man. These guys still impacted us. We're still talking about them after all these years. Exactly. These guys are still local heroes, and they've accomplished quite a bit. They've affected our lives, and they've come out okay for themselves.
Yeah,
and the two of them are just incredible stories to me.
Success stories.
Yeah,
yeah. A lot of people didn't have the opportunities they had, but for them to come through with again, and what are they doing on the other side? They're going to help other people,
right?
Because that's what keeps us connected, right? I mean,
right.
That's so and kudos to both of them. But Doc was a tremendous guest.
Yeah, I bet.
And,
that's cool.
If I would have allowed it, we would still be talking because
right.
we just connect. And he has some story to tell.
I had the pleasure once of meeting him, and just
awesome,
super nice guy. I'm blown away by some of these guys who are just so nice when you don't expect them to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Just about time for us to wrap up. Are you a baseball guy? Or are you
big time? In fact, the Yankees are on in 2 minutes.
Oh, really? Yeah. Where are they opening?
Opening in Arizona.
Oh, okay. So they're not affected by the rain.
No.
So, yeah, that's where I'll be when this show is airing tomorrow. That's where I'll be at the Met game.
Oh, nice, the Met game. Awesome.
Very excited. Awesome. It was supposed to be today, and it got rained out.
Right.
So they're doing it tomorrow. Don't have high hopes for the Mets this year.
Well,
they had a good spring.
Yeah, but I had high hopes for the Yankees last year, and it didn't happen. So you never know.
Right.
You never know.
And I don't know. And I think the Yankees will. I don't think they're going to go all the way. I think they'll make the postseason.
I think the Yankees have to stay afloat until Garrett Cole comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Let them stay relevant, 500 a game, maybe a few games out, and then get Cole back. Maybe go out and get someone else at the All-Star break, and then make a run, and you see what happens. But they got some lineup. The Yankees got some lineup.
Oh yeah,
Soto, Judge. I mean, Rizzo's healthy. It's I'm excited. But, and so
that's an exciting lineup. And Rizzo is a class act. Love that guy.
I tell you, and he's going to be healthy this year. So
right.
We'll see what happens.
And Soto is gonna. I think he's gonna kill it.
Well, with that porch in right field, he's a lefty hitter. That swing, he's going to hit 45 home. Well, hope so.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
And the Yankees. So what? Cole was hurt. I mean, the Yankees always start off slow.
Yep.
Every year they start off, and you're like about to write them off, then all of a sudden, bam,
Boom, they take off.
Yeah. They always do.
Deep with talent, you know.
Yep.
So.
And again, our Mets don't have high hopes. I don't know. Just I don't know. We're scratching our heads for the manager pick. We don't know who half these guys are that are even playing on the team.
Well, if you remember in '96, it was Clueless Joe.
Yeah.
They won the World Series. That could happen, Tony. Have faith, man. Come
You
on,
gotta believe.
You gotta believe.
Hey, man.
I know, and I'll talk to you in September, but no, you gotta believe.
No, you're absolutely right. And I say it every year, man. It can't get any worse as a Met fan. We've been through.
Right, Mets and Jets, unfortunately.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely. Them too, yeah. But, so we'll see. So, all right. So, Long Island Prep. So give us, the socials and the website. Give us all that good stuff.
Yeah, you got it. So just go to www.longislandprep.org. Everything is on there. What we do, what our services are, our programs are, the social media stuff. I'm not sure what all of them are exactly, but we're on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Just type Long Island Prep. It'll come up, I promise. MissionZPodcast.com for the podcast. And you can get all the information for the Night of Inspiration on May 23rd at Mulcahy's on longislandprep.org and also on the socials. So we're really hoping to pack that place out that night for this super important cause, this Night of Inspiration at Mulcahy's. So, Tony, I want to thank you so very much.
My pleasure, pal.
It's really great talking to you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Likewise. You guys are doing an amazing thing here, so thank you for that. Very welcome. Go to the Night of Inspiration on May 23rd. I'm hoping to get there myself. That's my brother's birthday, so maybe I'll take him out.
Come on out. Happy birthday.
If you guys go to Jackie and mention this show, then you're allowed to give Tom Falcone a punch in the shoulder. So
it's done.
So yeah, there'll be a whole big line there of people waiting to do that. So
wow, Tom, I love you, bro.
The guy can dish it just as well as he can
I'll
take
tell
it,
you what,
man. He's so funny, Tom.
Next time, let's have a show about Tom.
Well,
we'll talk about Tom.
Well,
I'm sure you love that.
That's how this came about.
Right.
I've been bugging Tom to come on this show.
And he won't come down here? Tom, what's the matter with you?
He's turned me down. There was one day he said, "Okay, I'm in." We worked out a day. It was you can't get much more last minute than he did with canceling. I was like, you prick. But then it worked out because then instead of him coming in, he then suggested you and introduced us.
Awesome.
So he's off the hook, but go punch him at the event anyway. He can take it, he can dish it. I have so much fun with Tom.
No doubt. He's
Those guys at Pioneers are the best, and Steve is the best as well. So this is all great stuff. So support at Long Island Prep. Go support Pioneer and join some of their programs. And come to check out all the PAL programs as well, because Pioneer is a big part of that. So, PAL all over Long Island. They're still strong. They're all strong all over the country. You don't hear about them as much anymore, but they're still out there, and they're still doing their thing and getting kids off the streets and providing great programs, and not just sports. You know, there's a lot of different programs. And, and if you're in the special needs world, the Nassau County PAL Special Needs Unit is the only special needs PAL unit in the whole country.
Is that right?
Yep.
Wow. And you're the head of it.
I am the current president.
Amazing.
Yes. 4 years.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
4 years
Very
now.
cool.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love like you said, love every second of it.
Nothing better.
To see the smiles on these guys, and then like I said, even for yourself, I've developed relationships with the parents and. Like this week, we're off with all our programs with Easter coming. I'm already I don't know what to do with myself.
You're gonna miss it.
Yeah, I totally miss it.
You want to be out helping people.
Absolutely. And again, it's for myself too. Friday nights is our basketball. Saturday afternoons is our bowling. I do on Friday nights. I'm not looking to go out,
right.
or I should be performing in my comedy, but no, I want to go.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do with myself half the time when I'm there when it's
Tom.
not going on. Just how he wants to spend a Friday night.
Call Falcone. You get a couple of laughs in there.
If anybody wants to call him, his number is. No, I'm kidding. Thank you, pal. This was a lot of fun, man.
It really was. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right. Happy Easter, everybody. You got a good Easter weekend ahead of you?
Yes, sir. Family and friends is just
Tom again.
Staying connected.
Very nice. I like that. I like that the opposite of addiction is connection. I love
that's
that.
the best thing I heard.
Enjoy your Easter for those of you who celebrate. And again, come Monday, we'll be live again. I know it's been a weird week with pre-recorded stuff, but Monday we'll be live today. So this is Friday. Don Sill is on tonight at 8 o'clock with Donversations. And then I think that's it. And until Monday, Coffee with the Dog at 9 a.m. And then, of course, we'll be on at 11 a.m. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you again, Paul.
Thank you, Tom.
And please come on back here one of these days.
You got it.
Maybe in September when the Yankees are at the top and the Mets are
We'll see.
30 games out. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you later. Am I done here? Oh, here we go.
What will you experience at a Knockem Dead Comedy Murder Mystery Show? Suspense, excitement, love, more love, violence. Well, not really. And, of course, some music. Knockem Dead Comedy is the #1 murder mystery troupe, entertaining thousands of people for over 20 years.
You have a great night or what?
Good. Their hilarious murder mystery shows are full of audience interaction from beginning to end that will keep you laughing all night long. Their shows are not to be missed. Knockem Dead Comedy's murder mystery themes include a mob show, a redneck wedding, a high school reunion, a family reunion with a luau theme, or your own custom show.
Johnny, you have a good time tonight or what?
Had an awesome time.
All right. She had a great time. KDC, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, all right.
Fundraisers, private parties, corporate events, restaurants, and more. Contact Knockem Dead Comedy for your event today.